Thank you, friends. Yeah, quite an effort to bring us all together and creating this space. And just one correction, the topic, the Europe as a living entity, will be presented tomorrow by the Hechal group. It will be another joint project that we've been developing. Today, I'm going to speak on behalf of two of our groups about the meditative attitude that we developed together and we're proposing for this conference. We proposed to this conference. And it's about how we create safe space for difficult conversations. I will share my screen and I hear someone else is unmuted. Please mute yourself. So before I started, just for the start, I wanted to use this image. And before starting, I just want to say a couple of words about this image. It's the image I took when two of our groups were together on the Mount of Beatitude in the Galilee earlier this year. This is the view from a very special place from on the mount, and this is the Sea of Galilee, and this is the place not far from there where some of you might remember. That's where we used to go to listen for words of Jesus. At least I think in our etheric vehicles, many of us were there. Earlier today, at the beginning of the conference, Uta invited us to hold the meditative attitude throughout the conference that would allow us to bring different perspectives of what is happening in the world into a higher point of inclusive synthetic vision where unity could be achieved. At this session, I will share details of the technique developed by the Hechal group and the 2025 Initiatives Coordination Group in preparation for this conference. After that, we will have an opportunity to practice this meditative attitude, creative space for difficult conversations. But I was planning to introduce our groups to say a few words about us, but Ines already did that. So I probably don't need to go into that. Just will say that preparation of our group started in 2012 in preparation for the festival week of the new group of world servers. And then together with many other groups, we recognize an opportunity of cycles that happens every 7 years to give a boost to work of all the groups that are tuned with this meditative opportunity and overall for the entire new group of world servers. So let us hold this space of the Sea of Galilee, which has a very distinct note of presence of Buddhic energy and presence of the Master as we enter the space of the work that we building together. When Philip first invited me to speak at the conference as a Ukrainian, giving perspective of the current conflict, I had a strong resistance to participate. recognizing that the magnitude of issues that were proposed for discussion are far beyond the capacity of a traditional conference format, where academic style presentation seems to shine a mental light on the issues in focus. I could clearly see the danger that the polarization of views on the nature of the current war may not allow us to find synthesis through arguments and bumping our heads in the public arena, but rather might further stimulate the divide within the community. To a large extent, our esoteric community is a reflection of humanity. The same, we are polarized on perception of causes and nature of most of the crises humanity faces today. The only divisive question I still didn't experience in our community, it's either the earth is flat. I hope we are more or less unanimous on that. I brought my concerns to our groups on one of the forums which we call the Will in Love. It's a space where we've been experimenting with transforming the creative power of conflict into harmony. For the last year, we have been meeting weekly in order to cope with the war in Ukraine, to share across the divides, both our different viewpoints and our shared pain, to stand together on our common ground of wishing to be of service to each other and to our world. It brought us to consider many questions about how a group of disciples can cooperate across divides, so that it will be a worthwhile instrument for hierarchy to work through. We recognize that our experience may contribute something of value to the conference. I want to pause here and just say a couple words about the painting you see. Claire Bainan from New Zealand, who is a member of the 2025 Initiative Coordination Group, painted this at the beginning of the war last year. I will read what she shared about this painting.
Sasha, you don't have the painting on the screen.
Okay, let me resume the sharing. Thank you, Uta. Can you see it now?
No, it's black.
Black.
I think
Michael has the slide.
Alexander, I think it's a problem with Keynote, with Zoom. If you share all the desktop, probably the problem is solved. Try it.
Okay. Let's try. Okay, so zoom. Okay, how about now?
That's
Can you
working.
see it now?
Yes.
It's working?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. That was a good hint. So this is the painting that I was talking about. So I will read now what Claire shared along with this image. And this image began within days of Putin's announcement Russia would be advancing on Ukraine. The words Russia and Ukraine, each spelled in the other's language, were included in the early stages of the painting, not in any particular order. Rather, they were jumbled together, torn apart, scattered. The stork appeared next, and with her arrival, so much symbolism in this bird, in addition to the fact that stork is the national bird of Ukraine. The letters of the two nations were gradually covered over to be replaced by elements of Rorik's Pact Kultura and his banner of peace. In the completing painting, the conversation between the two nations is held in a position of poised tension. You already saw this image several times on different slides and probably will see it more throughout the conference. So I just wanted to share the story behind. We are in the midst of the worst war since the end of the World War II. At this conference, we will face this conflicting issue tomorrow. Will we be able to constructively deal with the tension of this global crisis in our circle? What puts us in a better position than most of humanity is our training in meditation. For decades, we were trained and practiced the science of occult meditation that allows us to shift individually and as a group into the realm of souls. Please let us use this important skill. This is the time we were trained for. And it's quite possible we were prepared for this moment for many lives. We are on the cusp of the cycle of manifestation of the fourth ray of harmony through conflict, which will begin in 2025. That is exactly the time when the centennial conclave of the hierarchy where, as we told, based on the state of humanity's collective evolution, certain historic decisions and plans would be made that will define the course of events for the next 100 years, and most likely even for a much longer period. Harmonization of international affairs is one of the prerequisites for the reappearance of the Christ. In other words, besides other things, the outcome of this conclave will depend on humanity's ability to learn to transform the fire of conflict into creative harmony. In a way, this question is the core of the mystery of new alchemy of the new age. As we prepare to enter into the alchemical process of transformation of conflict into harmony in our circle, here at this conference, we, the Hechal group and the 2025 Initiative Coordination Group, invite us to create and hold a space for difficult conversations. Let us create a proper alchemical group cauldron. Today, the first day of conference, we weave the space which can become that chalice that would be able to hold a transformative fire, thus preparing us for the work in the coming days of the conference. We propose to use a meditative attitude that would allow us to create a safe space for difficult conversation. It is the space where we listen to each other with respect, honoring each other's sharings without attempting to prove our righteousness, while recognizing that each of us has a limited understanding of reality, and each of us is able to perceive just a segment of the truth. It is the space where we can bring our pieces of puzzle together as a sacred offering to the group heart and mind, in order to lift it together in meditative silence towards the soul level, where the hierarchy functions, asking for inspiration and guidance, inviting the broader vision of what is the truth. And only after that, as we emerge from the silence of group reflection, we would proceed to the sharing and discussion, knowing that our group mind will receive the expanding stimulation that would hopefully allow our individual minds to see a bit wider perspective than before. The idea of this meditative attitude was inspired by the quote from Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 1, page 707. It became our guideline. The true ashram, of which the coming outer ashrams will be but reflection, is not follow a concrete mind discussion. It is a focal point of receptivity. It embraces the effort to establish mutual contact through an united recognition of the vision, of the esoteric basis of life, and the laws governing action. It is not a place, however, for long and silent meditation processes, for it is a point of tension where together the ageless wisdom in its more esoteric aspects is discussed, where the nature of soul relationships is recognized, and where the fusion of auras and the interblending of the triangles goes forward consciously. An ashram is the state of mind of a spiritual group. It is a point of united thought. It is a center for the clarification of the vision and not of physical plain methods of work. This quote is only part of longer passage. In fact, it is one of those voluminous passages that has layers of meaning that gradually unfold only when students are ready to perceive it and to experiment with it. An ashram is a state of mind of a spiritual group. For many years, this formula been a mantra for me. Years and years of regular online group meetings and meditations helped us to learn recognizing a unique quality of a group mind. Indeed, it's a special state of presence and awareness that many of us know. It appears when the magic of group conversation emerges through an aligned weaving of individual voices that sound like a well-attuned orchestra. Ashram is a focal point of receptivity. It is the state of the group alignment when a group functions as one being, whose mind is aligned with its soul via the group Antakarana. During our annual retreat, the 2025 Initiative Coordination Group came to realize that any group that can build an adequate receptive vehicle working through the group Antakarana can become a chalice that is able to receive a projected ashramic impulse, thus becoming a physical outpost of the ashramic energy, or in other words, becoming a seed for an outer ashram. We took this as a hypothesis to research and experiment with it. As we started preparing for this conference, the following phrases started to reverberate in our consciousness. The true ashram is not follow a concrete mind discussion. It is a focal point of receptivity. It embraces the effort to establish mutual contact through an united recognition of the vision, of the esoteric basis of life and the laws governing action. It's a point of united thought. It's the center for the clarification of the vision. We have realized that we have the opportunity to experiment with the magic of the new alchemy, transforming the fire of conflict into harmony. It is our opportunity and responsibility to create a space where we can safely work with the fire of conflict and using the technique outlined by the Tibetan for an outer ashram. And that is when the formulas lovingly encoded for us by our Tibetan master in this quote started to reveal themselves. As disciples learn to integrate themselves into Master's ashram, they discover that the first thing they have to do is to establish a basic harmony between themselves and their fellow disciples, and to reinforce the contact between their own souls, the ashramic group, and the Master. Then they learn to comprehend through discussion and experiment the nature of the energies which are seeking world expression, and the nature of the forces which must be reduced to powerlessness, if these new incoming energies are to prove effective in bringing about the desired changes under the plan. At this stage of our group comprehension, we recognize in this passage three main phases of creating an ashramic outpost. First, the first thing the group members have to do is to establish a basic harmony between themselves and their fellow disciples, and to reinforce the contact between their own souls, the ashramic group, and the Master. This formula was the one we proposed to the group of presenters as we started our process preparing for this conference earlier this year. To establish basic harmony between the group members and contact between their own souls and the ashramic group and Master. Second, an ashram embraces the effort to establish mutual contact through a united recognition of the vision. It is a point of tension where the nature of soul relationships is recognized and where the fusion of auras and the interblending of the triangles goes forward consciously. And the third formula, the disciples learn to comprehend through discussion and experiment the nature of the energies which are seeking world expression, and the nature of the forces which must be reduced to powerlessness, if these new incoming energies are to prove effective in bringing about the desired changes under the plan. In this presentation of the meditative attitudes that I will share with you now, we focus on the first step, on this first formula proposed by DK, establishing a basic harmony between the disciples themselves. In the most practical way, it confronts us with the question, how can we build a space for difficult conversations? We see this as a meditative focus for this conference. We invite us to practice the attitude suggested by the Tibetan master as if we are a nucleus of an outer ashram, a point of united thought, a center for the clarification of the vision, a focal point of receptivity. In our perception, this would imply holding the attitude of harmlessness, acceptance, humility, and respect. Holding an alignment of heart, mind, intuition, and will. Practicing the group antakarana as intentional line of contact with an ashram. Seeking a higher synthesis of viewpoints into a common vision. On a more practical level, we are proposing the following principles of the meditative attitude to hold as we undergoing this alchemical process of transformation of conflict into harmony. Each of us has own limited perspective, which is more or less rightful perception of a certain angle of the truth. However, no one has the full vision of the truth. If we listen to each other with respect, then we can bring our different perspectives together through a group meditation lifting it to the level of soul perception. Then, by opening our group perception, we have a chance to widen our understanding of the truth, which of course still will be limited. Only with this wider perception of the truth can we venture to seek to find a common ground of understanding. To demonstrate this essence of this meditative attitude, try to imagine that we are a space fleet exploring a new planet somewhere in the outer realms of our galaxy. And each of us has own position on the orbit of this planet. And we're taking photos, images of this new planet. As being trained astronauts and cosmonauts, we're not going to argue about truthfulness of only our image, and that image of others, astronauts or cosmonauts, is a lie. We gratefully will accept images of all of us and will bring them together in the synthetic image of this new world. And that is exactly the attitude we're proposing for us as we seek to understand what is a wider truth. The structural foundation of this meditative attitude is already incorporated into the schedule of our conference. As you noticed, each presentation is followed by a period of silent reflection accompanied by music, allowing us time for pause in deep listening and reflection. Each day of the conference is opened and closed with a meditation, intending to elevate our circle to the level of group soul to perceive the higher vision. A series of round tables will challenge us to find the common ground and understanding while we are seeking to learn to function as if an outer ashram. We invite us to hold this attitude, and if any of us lose this note, please let us gently remind everyone about the sacred space we are practicing together.
I didn't get.
Alexander, you are on mute.
Yes, so there was a Siri who was trying to speak to me, and she had some questions, and I told her that there are no time for questions from her. We invite the community to definitely this work of holding this meditative attitude is transforming the energy of crisis into harmony would go far beyond this conference. We invite the community to experiment by practicing this meditative attitude of an outer ashram throughout the period of the 3 great spiritual festivals this year. The initiate knows because he works. This is one of the hints given to us by Tibetan master. We see an intriguing correlation of each of the recognized formulas to the opportunities offered to us by each of the great festivals. As I said, at this Aries festival, we recognize the opportunity to focus on establishing the harmony, basic harmony, bringing different views together, building our alignment with the in a group of ashram and the master. At the Vesak festival, we invite us all to come together in focused meditative listening, using the opportunity together with the group of the Seventh Ray Conference. On the day of the Vesak, we will stand together in meditative listening, establishing a mutual contact through united recognition of the vision. And then at the Gemini festival, we would use this opportunity of distribution of the energies of the three festivals to come together again when the 2025 initiative and the Hechal group will call for a community gathering to continue this work on a practical level, improving our skills to listen to each other and to the higher vision. So let us hold this meditative attitude and use the opportunity of the high interlude of this year. We also recognize a further opportunity of the current annual cycle to learn functioning as if an outer ashram, tuning in with the cyclic silent meditation of our elders. 2023 is a year when, as we told, the hierarchy meets for a silent conclave that is gathered every 9 years for meditation on a part of God's vision and formulation of that vision for the immediate present. It is probably a big stretch for us, but as stated, it's an opportunity for the initiates and disciples in their ordered ranks and various gradings to cooperate with the immediate aspect of the plan, which they can grasp and which comes down to them through the inspired minds of their directors at certain stated times and in certain specific years. As this quote states, such a year was 1933 and 1942. And this is the same opportunity we have this year, in year 2023, when we can align to the hierarchical meditation, standing in the focused listening to the plan, preparing as we prepare for the next 9 years cycle. I invite us now to enter the meditative space, experimenting, use this meditative attitude that we propose. Let us withdraw the attention inwards into our own place of perfect stillness. Breathing deeply, we ground in our body and the earth. We recognize our togetherness in the space of the conference, etheric space. Using our imagination, let us transport ourselves to a mountain top with a flat summit overlooking Europe. We visualize us gathering in a circle. Around the group fire, group heart. We project love of our hearts into the group circle, igniting the fire of the group heart. We link the light of our minds, forming an illumined space for the group mind. We recognize each other as souls. We make a conscious effort to expand the radiance of our own soul, together forming a ring of luminous electric fire. Come in the group soul. Sense the quality of the space together we created. We visualize and invoke a channel of blazing light that connects group heart, group mind, and group soul. We focus our group intention invoking the will to good and will to love towards a higher order in Europe. We take a pause to recollect all that been shared today at the conference. We bring together what has been shared since this morning by Philip, Uta, Malvin, Christina, Antonella, Alexander. With love and gratitude, we hold the diversity of today's offerings in the group field, in the light of the group soul. We invoke and sense the presence of high beings who support and guide this work. we invoke the regent of Europe. In receptive silence, we open our consciousness to their clarity and inclusive vision, allowing it to expand our understanding of our work together for Europe. We listen. Slowly, we refocus on the group mental plane. Allowing impressions to be precipitated. Using the opportunity of the common musical interlude, we hold this space, preparing for the common panel discussion. With gratitude, we keep the channel between the group heart, mind, and soul towards the ashram open. As we step into the sharing session,